The Chicago Bears have updated Teven Jenkins on when they would be willing to talk a contract extension with him. We're going to talk a little bit about that and what that could mean for the season ahead for Teven Jenkins. We continue to get Matt Eberflus and other Bears players talking about Caleb Williams' progress through only the first few days of training camp, and we're going to talk about the players that have stand out the most in training camp so far. All that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it for today. So we're going to start off with something we got breaking news on yesterday when we were live last night, and that is in regards to Teven Jenkins and his contract situation. Reportedly, he's been informed by the Chicago Bears front office that they will not engage in negotiations with him until the bye week, which is in October. This is pretty much a straightforward thing. It gives the Bears an opportunity to see how healthy Teven Jenkins can be through the first 6 games of the season. Matter of fact, if he can even start off next season, healthy, as he's had some injuries, maybe even to start off the season, and as well as the production. Now, one thing that, we've been pretty consistent on here at Chicago Bears Central is that we feel that the production from Teven Jenkins when he's on the field is exactly what you need. And him and Darnell Wright can absolutely be pillars of your offensive line going forward. So, I would like to think that this may be just focused on, can he keep up that production while staying healthy? And if he can, the Bears may be willing to. Now, the thing in this to take away from it is that that's not saying that that is when the Bears will be signing his contract extension. That's when they're ready to even start those negotiations. Now, one could say that those negotiations could be pretty quick if both the team and the front office are in alignment on the value that they view the player at, considering what the health would be at that point. But Teven Jenkins understands and knows how important it is for him to stay healthy this season, as well as him to keep showing that progress. Teven Jenkins is one of, if not the best offensive lineman the Chicago Bears have consistently. Now, Darnell Wright seems poised to take that over, but when you look all up and down that offensive line, Braxton Jones is definitely not consistent. We haven't even been able to get Nate Davis on the field consistently. Ryan Bates, Coleman Shelton, we haven't gotten to see what they look like as the starters for the Chicago Bears yet. So it comes down to Teven Jenkins, Darnell Wright as those best offensive linemen that the Bears have. And so overall, of course, they're looking to make sure, they want to make sure before they lock in an offensive lineman that could get a sizable extension, that they feel comfortable at where he is health-wise. And I, for one, don't see any problem with that. I have no issue with that at all. I don't know everybody's going to necessarily agree with that, but that's just where I personally sit on the matter. I don't think that it's a bad thing at all for where this team is to want to make sure that they're going to get that type of production out of their offensive lineman. Now, for Teven Jenkins' credit, right, to credit him for what he's been able to do, is that he's played multiple positions for the Chicago Bears. He's changed sides or either sides or a position almost every year. This would be the first year he's coming in here to be kind of the same thing, the same spot that he left off last season with. Things are changing around him. So I'm sure Teven Jenkins and his agency they feel pretty confident as well. He just has to stay healthy. And, hopefully the Chicago Bears do right by him. The Bears typically, even if they don't re-sign a player, they like to do right by their players as well, and making sure that, hey, if they're not going to sign them, hey, let's get you to somewhere that is going to get you what you want, if we can help facilitate that and put you in that position. So we'll see. Very well saying it could be to that bye week, maybe saying, hey, it could be to where if we don't feel confident in getting you a contract extension, maybe we do look to move you. And when you look at Teven, 6 games his first season, 13 the second season. Last year, only 12 games. So, if you make it through those 6 games, right, and at that point you have 11 games left and Teven Jenkins has played in all 6, that may go a long way in calming some of that concern around his health and what that's going to look like for him in the next season. So let me know what you guys think overall down below. Do you agree or disagree with the Chicago Bears' decision to not really talk contract extension with Teven Jenkins until the end of not the end of the season, until the bye week for the Chicago Bears? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. Now, with that said, Caleb Williams in training camp has been nothing. Hearing yesterday that the Chicago Bears actually won the 2-minute drill, that the Bears offense even was talking a little shit to the defense after struggling against them, and the success they had. Play of the day reportedly was Caleb Williams to Rome Odunze, and Matt Eberflus has talked about the progression that Caleb Williams has had. I can see the operation getting better every single game. The pre-snap penalties are down. Getting in and out of the huddle is good. That's just because we're learning the system, learning how to do it, and we're learning how to break the huddle, get to the line of scrimmage, and operate our motions and shifts and make our calls. I think that's really been good. And Caleb is the apex of that. He's just going to keep getting better at it, keep progressing every single day. Tevin Jenkins as well, who we just talked about it, added this in. We have a 3 and a 5 technique on the other side, and they both rush the outside. And he understands he can just step up because of their cover 2 drops. It's like, wow, I can just step up and complete a pass for 20 yards easy. He's sliding in the pocket, seeing the pressures and everything. So I've been really impressed by that. And I know that this is naturally going to go to, so we're just going to pull the damn the Band-Aid off when this. A lot of people are going to go to about Caleb Williams versus Justin Fields in regards to Caleb Williams' ability to read a defense. And for what it said, people have talked about it, that's where it is right now. Going so far as, some insiders are saying things like Caleb Williams is thriving in areas where Justin Fields just did not and was not able to thrive. And that ability to make a quick decision, to get the ball out fast, to read the defense, to understand where to pick, and even get the ball in smaller windows. These are the things that's being reported right now that he's doing extremely well. Josh Schrock is one that said that, and he's on 670 The Score. I think a lot is Josh Schrock. So it seems like, again, as I said in yesterday's episode, the quarterbacking portion of it. And I know some people are like, well, it's no pads, it's in shorts. Yeah, he's going to look good, but it's about the process, not necessarily the result, right? I say that a lot about the Summer League when I cover the Bulls, is that in Summer League, you're not necessarily looking at the stats and saying, oh, you scored 20, you can do it over in the NBA level, but you're looking at the process that it takes to get there. And right now, the thing that you're judging in context of Caleb Williams in training camp is the process that he's taking and where is he getting with that process and the things that he's learning and going through. So seeing him understand how to maneuver in the pocket when pressure's there, how to read a defense down the field, how to get the ball in small windows, those are the process things, right? You want to see that process part of it. Are you saying that it's going to be that easy once he's playing another team with full football pads on and a team that's actually trying to knock his head off if they can get it? No, but the pocket awareness is something that is going to be a big part, especially in a Shane Waldron offense. And the fact that Caleb Williams seems to just be learning so much on the fly. Today is day 4 in a training camp. And the fact that it's already getting to the place where people are seeing that Caleb Williams and that pocket presence, that the readability that he has with that defense, this is all really good things, right? And he's trusting as well his protection. And that's something, listen, hey, I commend you, my boy, because if I came into a defense that gave up 106 sacks in the last 2 years, I don't know how much I'll be trusting that protection, but reportedly he is right now. And so he's trusting the protection, he's trusting his arm enough, and his intelligence and being able to read what's trying to happen. He's doing that, and it's really impressing not only the coaches, but his teammates. And that's what you want to know right now. For Caleb Williams to be showing all this before his rookie season even really starts, this tells you a lot about the possibilities, right? We're still talking about potential. We're not talking about things as if they're assurances or anything like that, but we are talking about the potential, that the growth that he's had and how that's going to translate on the field for the Chicago Bears. And that's the thing that you have to take away from it. So hearing that he's really going through these things, going through the process again, and really excelling in that, that's what you want to hear from Caleb Williams in that point, in my opinion. And I, for one, and I commend him for what he's been able to do, how he's been able to grow already. I think it's been tremendous, what we've heard just from, the first day of training camp till now, just as far as like even him understanding what the defense. Now, best believe that defense is going to adjust, especially after you talk some shit to the defense. Oh, we already know we got prideful veterans on there. They're not taking it easy on you in the second day. And, we've already heard things like Montez Sweat got what would have for sure been a sack. He put some pressure on the quarterback as well. So they're going to keep making it. And that ironing, sharpen iron thing that we've talked about, me and Bobby here, when we've been here, and Dub when he's been here, is real here. And so having the expectation of having a top 5 defense or top 10 defense, and that helping getting your offense over that learning curve, we'll see. We'll see how much that takes a hold in the Bears preseason game. We are 9 days away. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited. I can't wait to talk about Chicago Bears football, both here and over in Bleacher Report. For those that don't know, I do cover the Bears for Bleacher Report. I have live post-game streams and stuff over there. We'll also be doing live Hard Knocks live after watch parties as well over there. But really excited about just what this has done so far. And part of that excitement as well is in who stood out so far. And somebody that I alluded to earlier is that Montez Sweat right now has been showing up reportedly in training camp. This one comes from Nicholas Moreno, who says, during the team period, Montez Sweat had back-to-back plays where he created instant pressure. One of those reps would have gone down as a sack on Caleb Williams. Williams attempted a sidearm pass, but Sweat was already in the backfield. And then he said on the next play, Montez Sweat forced more pressure. So just hearing that Sweat is coming in and already kind of upping what that expectation is from that defensive line is great to hear. Him, it said as well that he's blew by offensive line on several occasions, namely Darnell Wright, which, again, that iron and sharpened iron, you want that pressure there on Darnell Wright, and Montez Sweat being the one to bring it is a great thing. So not only is Montez Sweat starting to get some much-needed recognition from what he's being, and I talked about yesterday how he's stepping into a big leadership role on the Chicago Bears team, especially on that defensive line, and Eric Washington is going to really look to push him to be that. It's good for Montez Sweat to be able to step up in those moments as well. Next up, Rome Odunze is the next one who reportedly stood out the most in training camp so far for the Chicago Bears. That he caught a pass in both team drills over the middle that probably would have gone for a touchdown if it was during the game. But overall, his also understanding of where and when to be, and reportedly that chemistry between him and Caleb Williams is exactly what you wanted to be at this part in the season. And that Rome Odunze, the fact that he is, after initially missing the first day of training camp, coming in and having 2 really good days. Adam Johns as well said that really all 3 receivers, and Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen have been making really big plays in training camp, and that chemistry between them and Caleb Williams seems like it's on that right path. I've talked to you guys a lot about how you want to be able to jumpstart that, right? You want to jumpstart that chemistry, and that's what training camp is for, is really being able to step up and do that. And so hearing as well that those things are happening, man, I love it, right? We could have one of the deepest wide receiver tandems that we've ever had in Chicago. Now, of course, there's some questions about the long term of that. We got Keenan Allen's on a 1-year deal. DJ Moore has another year after this year. But from what we've heard, the Bears are going to want to talk a contract, get him locked into a contract extension as soon as possible to not even worry about that. And then you have the young buck and Rome Odunze there. So this is a Bears wide receiver core that seems to be living up as of right now to the expectations of them as much as they can in training camp. We just got to see if it's going to happen in game time, right? And that's always the biggest question. The next one is that Greg Stroman Jr., surprisingly enough, this one comes from Zach Pearson as well, says, back in from day's practice, best throw from Caleb Williams was to Rome Odunze on the left side. Didn't see who was in coverage due to the view. Best defensive play was Greg Stroman Jr. picking off Tyson Bagent. Now, again, it's the second team in that, but we talked about the depth, right? And we talked a lot about Terrell Smith and him and what he can bring as that fourth cornerback here. But don't overlook Greg Stroman Jr. as well, who is another player who stepped up when needed to start, and he showed some flashes. So the fact that Greg Stroman Jr. is also showing some things in this Bears training camp shouldn't be too much of a surprise. He is a guy that does have talent, of course, for this team. And, he's going to be given an opportunity. And he's the type of guy as well that, especially in preseason when you're sitting your starters a lot, that he can benefit the most from being able to have that opportunity to really step up at that position of cornerback for the Bears. 28 years old, right? So he's not really doesn't fit the age timeline, but you always want to have some of your veterans around. He's only in his 3rd year in the league. Not. He came in 2018. He was a draft pick. My bad on that one. But so you really want to see those type of things from him and what he can bring. So Greg Stroman Jr. is a guy who keep your eye out. See if you heard. I said it the other day. Colin Johnson, right, is the guy that kind of keep your ear out to hear how he keeps performing in training camp. And it sounds like Greg Stroman Jr. is another guy who's really turning some heads in the right way as far as on that defensive side for the Chicago Bears. So that's kind of the updates there. We got a couple of other things I want to touch on before we go get off this episode. Seems like right now the Bears have not named a starting center. Me and Bobby have previously talked about and asked how soon do the Bears want to, and it seems like they're going to go through it as well. Matt Eberflus saying this. We're going to let it play out. I told the guys today, you can make the team or you can make your position in pads. It's hard to evaluate guys when you're out here and not in pads. The pass protection is hard. The pass rush is hard. To really evaluate if a guy can bore around the corner, if he can really protect against the bull rush. We put limits on the guys a little bit, what they can and cannot do, so they don't get injured while we're in shells. So it seems like the Bears are in no particular rush to name their starting center. We've gotten Bates, Coleman, even Doug Kramer has gotten some opportunities with the first team at that starting center position. And the Bears know how important this is, right? Matt Eberflus also saying that he feels, it was Shane Waldron who said that Caleb Williams has nice chemistry and rhythm with both Coleman Shelton and Ryan Bates. And so that's a good thing, right? And, one of the things that we always go back to is that it comes down to, again, getting the center play up to competency. Our center play has been so in the trash the last few years that you just want competent play from that position. And hopefully the Bears do get that in this upcoming season, because that's going to drastically change it. Get the snap count right. Get the rhythm right. Understand the playbook, what your quarterback's trying to do. So as long as those things are there, I trust the Bears to make the right decision. They have some really good, talented people there who can get what's done. And the fact that Shane Waldron says that Caleb's comfort level is right there with both, that's the most important thing. You have no reason to rush this as long as Caleb Williams, it has a comfortability with both. Now, if that balance starts to change, where you see that Caleb is maybe more comfortable with one over the other, maybe that changes that conversation. But as of right now, no need to change it, and we'll see what goes and develops. I know some Bears fans are kind of antsy. They want that all locked in, and I can understand that. But, we'll see what comes about when it comes down to it. And whoever wins that position, because the Bears are really doing their due diligence, can't be mad at who wins that. Now, before we go, we got an update on a player that's not technically a Bear, but some people really expect for him to become a Bear. So Yannick Ngakoue actually had a workout with the Miami Dolphins yesterday. So he spent that time down there, 29 years old. We already know what Yannick Ngakoue can theoretically bring. And so there's some questions, of course, on if the Dolphins are even still interested. Yeah, they worked out Yannick Ngakoue yesterday, but they also brought back Emmanuel Ogbah yesterday as well. So they get him on a 1-year deal. So that may put Yannick on the outs. And the reason why I do bring this up is that every time that Yannick does work out with a team and ends up not working out, it may increase the chances of him coming back to the Chicago Bears and on an even more cost-effective contract because he's strike out. So we'll see. Yannick hasn't done, I know it's become a big talking point just because of the fact that he was here before, the fact that he didn't really get to play a whole lot with Montez Sweat. And a lot of Bears fans are hoping that Yannick can get back to being that sack machine he's shown at times, even though his run game has been a little shaky there at times, that they hope that, maybe you can bring in another veteran edge there rather than, try to jumpstart the progression of Austin Booker or, DeMarcus Walker. He's kind of the fact that one of the things that he brings the best is the versatility to be used on the inside or outside to maintain that. Maybe. Right now we hear that Jake Martin has had really good practices in training camp so far. So if the Bears feel like a veteran in Jake Martin, who's going to still get less than Yannick even on a team-friendly contract if he does strike out, maybe the Bears aren't really looking at that. I think the fact that Yannick is taking out workouts with other teams may mean that it's not as straightforward as what some outlets may have presented it to be for Yannick to come back here for Chicago. So we'll see what happens there. It's not that Yannick is a bad fit on the team. The offensive line just wasn't really good where it is. So overall, it seemed like either it was going to be Yannick Ngakoue or Emmanuel Ogbah, and they chose Ogbah. And now it comes down to Yannick Ngakoue, probably one of the better veteran edges out there on the market. And do the Bears go ahead and bite and take a shot at bringing Yannick back to this team, adding him to what they have in Montez Sweat? He already showed himself last season. In training camp, he started working with Javon Dexter to help on that get off a little bit. So if he's willing to come here, play a mentorship role, and if you're replacing, for example, Dominique Robinson with Yannick Ngakoue, I don't think that's a bad thing, right? And so it just comes down to how confident the Bears feel about that edge position. And I don't think we're going to get a surefire answer for that, maybe until after the first preseason game. I really do think that may be that. I think Travis Gibson wasn't even cut till after a preseason game, or maybe even two, if I'm not mistaken, last year. So that may be kind of the same timeline they're looking at as well. So we'll see. Continue to monitor it, talk about it. You guys already know. We'll also be back tonight for a training camp recap after what happens in day 4 training camp. But make sure you guys are following us at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. chicagobearscentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. That's thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.